Who's on your screen with the comic book scene? No one but Dan Shaheen.
Holy moly, what is it? 2 shows, 2 days, 2 shows in a row? What's going on? The truth is, I've been slacking on my comic book content lately a little bit. I apologize for it. I'm sorry. I got to do what I got to do. I got to make money for my family. I got to make that Skrilla. You know what I'm saying? And the so far the YouTube super chats are not putting food on the kids' plates. So maybe we'll get there eventually. But the only way we're going to get there is by getting on the air, talking about what I love, which is comics. And so what do I need? Sometimes I need a little kick in the ass. And I got one this week in the form of two friends of the show who've been on here multiple times, who are amazingly talented, and for some reason like to come here to talk about their stuff. I can't really explain it except that I genuinely love talking to these guys. And there's almost nobody who's sent something into the $1 Million Mailbox that I love as much as today's guest, Kirt Burdick. We're going to talk about his book, Death of Power. This thing set the internet afire, ablaze. It's been featured on what Cartoonist Kayfabe, and as soon as I started putting clips, shots of it on Facebook and some of the groups, people are like, what is that? Where do I get that thing? Because it's scratching a nostalgia itch with the death of Superman, but it's so much more. It's in the tradition of the very best underground comics that San Francisco has a tradition in. And this is a guy from San Francisco. He's putting out incredible stuff that in my mind is right up there with the underground greats of yesteryear. He looks a little skeptical in the green room. So let's pull in Kirt right now. Kirt Burdick, welcome back to the show.
Shit.
I try to fluff you up there.
Oh, no, thank you. I'm fluffed. I am fully fluffed.
Speaking of which, we're here. We're going to talk about Death of Power number 3.
All right.
You asked me by email. You said, Dan, can we let's not show every page this time because it's not out yet, and we don't want to give away all the secrets. So we're not going to show it all, but we'll talk about it and maybe give some hints as to what's well.
Yeah, we can describe it. We can act it out.
Okay, Kirt. So this thing started out as it was a Death of Superman thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's gone beyond that, in my opinion. But why don't you tell us what Death of Power, what you set out to do, and what it is evolved into?
Initially it was just an exercise for me because kayfabe. I think Ed Pisker and Jim Rugg put out the shout out to do a modern revamp of the Death of Superman that was more fitting to our tastes. So I just finished a couple comics, and I was in between trying to figure out what to do. So I had a quick idea, like a simple idea to do it, and during last year's fan expo, it was like super dead. So I just thumbnailed it out there and drew out some of my versions of Doomsday. Because I just wanted to change the character to something that I feel comfortable to draw. I always, I wasn't too big a fan of the Doomsday design. Like it's just a very difficult design to draw, like over and over again. There's a lot of strange little details and stuff.
I always thought I was never that big of a fan of that character storyline or the design.
At that time, I honestly was pretty jaded about that stuff, so I didn't get really into it. I think it was aiming towards a younger audience,
for sure. And a collector's market as well.
And I think that's what I had the biggest problem with. It was so marketed as a collector's event.
I hated that part of it. I always have, always will. But
yeah, and
I
same
will
with
not. It brought excitement to the industry. It brought people into comic book stores, and like you can't. That's great.
Yeah, that's the flip side of it. Like, yeah, I do think it's kind of short-sighted and gross marketing, but it did bring in. I mean, it was a big seller. It did bring in a lot of people into comics. It's similar with, you know, the use of variant covers. You know, now like every issue now has at least 4 covers. Which like the Red Hood number 54 really does need that. You know,
it would be fine to me. Yeah, it would be fine to me if they were just like, if you could just order the covers.
That'd be cool.
If like you could just say, I like that one, I want that one, that might be good. But like the incentives have completely skewed the market. The numbers no longer make any sense. Like, why did Red Hood 54 sell 10 times the previous issue? Well, because they had the Peach Momoko variant, blah, blah, blah.
Right. And I assume Red Hood's still being printed. I don't
probably know. Maybe. If it's Batman related, it has a chance. But there's almost nothing else coming out.
I really kind of think, like, you know, how both Marvel and DC does like 20 comics for like their main, you know, seller. Like X-Men has how many X-Men comics are there?
Too many.
I haven't checked. I mean, in Batman, in the Batman family, you know, I would almost think like, and you know, our market's not set up and we don't have enough sales to do this, but as a reader, I would just prefer just put them all in one fucking volume, sell it like, you know, cheap. I don't know, $10.
They're working on. Well, DC has a new initiative of $10 graphic novels.
Yeah,
but like they've taken only all of their best sellers, so they're taking like Watchmen, Dark Knight Returns, and whatever, and just cutting the price in half and making it a smaller paper, but standard paperback book size. They said it's going to be 8.5 by 5.5. I think like half sheet, like standard paperback book, a little larger than
digest size, huh?
Yeah, a little bigger than manga, Tankuban or whatever, but like
bigger.
But standard paperback book, because they want it anywhere that might sell paperback books. They want to put Watchmen there, right? And I think that might. The problem is you've cut the price in half for the same story, so like you have to sell twice as many to move the needle as much. So I don't know.
Yeah, but the printing costs might be less too.
True.
So
true.
So that's maybe it's interesting. I don't know. You're not going to know until they actually release an original content.
If it can get Joe paperback novel reader, I guess, or Jane paperback novel reader reaching and grabbing a graphic novel and taking that home, I guess that's something, but that's such a small market these days too.
Are they, you know, because I've heard comic book stores, I've heard an interview you had with a bunch of retailers. I think Brian Hibbs mentioned that there might be a need to shift to a bookstore model, you know, because the cut and sells to the monthly book, you know, weekly models, I think like over the last couple of years, it's really been going down. And you know, you see,
it's a tough game.
Yeah. So does that mean that, you know, DC is also looking at that and saying like, shit, we might need to go to a, you know, book publisher model?
Well, I mean, when they left Diamond, they took their comics to like a mail order comics distributor and said, you're now the pamphlet distributor. But then they took all their graphic novels and they went to Penguin, Random House. And they're like, okay, it's the book market. Now, the leader at DC who made those big changes and as well, like the ripping away from Diamond, has left the company now. And many speculate I forgot her name offhand.
Oh, that was the one that yeah, she came in and then Batman Damned came out.
Yeah, that's the one. Yes, that's the
I
one.
forgot her name too.
That's she's like, yeah, DC's a
Well,
lifestyle brand. We're gonna make clothes. We're gonna make underoos, and then like
hey,
you got hit with the bat pole in that issue.
lifestyle brand, Gem.
Ooh, Gem and the holograms.
Oh yeah.
Show that again.
Oh yeah. It's from Super 7.
Oh, it's got that Nagel look to it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of looks though, and speaking of that Nagel look, that has something in common with your style, Kirt.
Yeah, I guess it does.
How do you describe your style? Because from the pastel colors to the sharp details, but then the complete lack of detail in other places. I'm no artist, so I don't know how to pick this style apart exactly. How would you describe what you're trying to do? We talked about this a little bit last time, but I'm really fascinated. You had a much more elaborate explanation than I expected you to. So tell
oh, last time? Oh,
yeah.
I pull it up. Let's see what I said. So I don't know.
Well, just tell me when you think about your style and what you're trying to do, because we've seen your other stuff like this. I look at this and it is like I look at this and I look at Fey Archaic, let's say, or even Galacto Pit Fighter, and there's a difference. In this is closer to Galacto Pit Fighter, I'd say, but then the coloring you took in this primary direction.
Yeah.
Just tell us. You tell me.
So yeah, with Galacto Pit Fighter and Fey Archaic, I was really trying to do what I would call a full comic book style, which would be, like full colors, full line art, something that you would see in a monthly book, more or less.
Complete with backgrounds.
Complete with backgrounds.
Yeah.
And for me to do that type of style, like both of the Galacto Pit Fighter books, even though the second issue is like 13 pages or 12 pages less than the first one. Both of them took a year to make. So it was just too grueling for me to try to do what Marvel and DC can do in 1 month by myself.
Yes.
Because it's just, it's really a lot of work. And that
might be my favorite pull quote I've ever seen.
He okayed it. I checked with him and like, you did say this at WonderCon. And can I use that as a pull quote or blurb? And he's like, you may.
I mean, this thing is not for kids, and that's like you put that very clearly on the cover of every one, because that's what's amazing is that like just the colors alone and everything, like this could be tremendously appealing to a child. It hits that note in me. It brings me back, but then also undeniably adult in nature. So what I love that you pulled off though is to eschew some of the background detail and to fill it in with these blocks of primary colors the way that you're doing, to me produces a beautiful page, kind of unlike anything that I've seen out there.
Oh, thanks, man. So yeah, like I said, with like Fey Archaic particularly, I was trying to get so much information through the narrative, like the prose, and also through the illustration. Just get it in each panel to help build that world, to create that kind of feeling of a deep history. So this is the opposite of that, where I'm trying to almost do a minimalist comic, see how much I can keep out and keep it more action oriented, because Fey Archaic was really, there wasn't too much action in it. There's a little bit at the very end, but it's mainly almost like an illustrated book.
It was illustrated prose. It was close to illustrated prose.
Yeah,
it's not a ding on it. That's
no.
the style that it is.
Right.
But like, if you're a comics dork, you want, punching on every page. You want like action. You want something.
The reason Fair Cake was that way, one, especially at that time, I was an extremely slow artist. But it was looking at the Hal Foster Prince Valiant and the adventure strip format.
Yes.
And seeing that as like, oh, maybe this is the direction I can go since I'm so slow to get the story out.
You definitely pulled that feeling off.
Oh, good.
It felt like a Prince Valiant style comic, which is, undeniably dated. It's almost archaic in its look, right?
It's I think it was dated by the 50s.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it was old fashioned. by
the 60s, people were like, "What is this? I'm not gonna read this garbage." And but yeah, it's an interesting format, though. I do think like it's a really good format for a fantasy or even sci-fi.
Oh, I agree. I mean, Kirt, you could be working. You could be an illustrator, like a book illustrator, illustrating fantasy novels. You could be
awesome.
Have you been approached by anybody?
No. No, they just, I don't know.
Because I look at some of the stuff they're putting out right now. Daniel Warren Johnston. I look at who's the Silver Surfer guy? What's his name?
Trad Moore.
Trad Moore. These are guys that are like, that's the Kirt Burdick school. Like those, like I put you.
I don't feel like I'm at their level yet, but that's
you are.
That's the direction I'm going.
Oh, you are. Dude, you are, but in your own way. You don't feel like an imitation of any of those guys. You feel like Kirt frickin' Burdick.
Oh, thanks, man.
Like you're an auteur. You have an auteur style that is amazing to look at. Reads like water, dude. When you switched away from illustrated prose into like just visceral comics language, the way you have, you just revealed your chops as a visual storyteller.
Thanks, man.
So like your other stuff was well written. It was fun to read. The illustrations went well, but this thing grabs you by the throat. And it's like, this is Kirt's vision of DC Comics, but it's not a pretty vision.
I don't think it should be a pretty vision.
Okay, tell us why. What's the
before I do that, let me finish up on current style.
Okay.
So like to make it a minimalist book, and one of the reasons the colors are the way they are is influenced from just looking at manga. And I've tried doing grayscale, like I don't know, American manga type stuff, and it just doesn't work. You really do need to have that zip look to it, whether that's digital, like
zip tone. You're talking about tones using different dot patterns of gray.
Dot pattern gray for a printed process gives it life. If you just have flat, ink print, gray washes, there's something missing, and it doesn't connect the same way. It's similar to how like printing on newsprint versus printing on white paper.
There's a difference. There's an aesthetic difference that leads to a difference in how you read it
and how it affects you, and how it emotionally affects you.
I totally agree.
So I knew I couldn't do like a gray tone thing, and I, especially for right now, for whatever reason, like the American audience I hear from a lot of retailers, they don't read black and white books. I think one exception being Walking Dead.
Yes.
But in general, they don't.
It just proves that it's a blanket rule like that, like people won't read black and white books, is just dumb.
It's not true. It's not true. It's just there's something about how, but I guess in general, people will pick up a random color issue before they would a black and white issue.
Makes sense.
But they don't do that with manga. So it's something, it's not expectation.
You're right.
So for whatever reason, the way American comics are marketed it's marketed as a colored comic experience. So that's what people are going for. For manga, that's not how it's marketed, and that's not what the audience expects. So it can be, if it is color, a couple pages are color, that's fine, but they don't look down on it. But anyways,
it's an American thing. Like my wife has a real problem with black and white movies, and I know a lot of people who cannot watch a black and white movie. And I go, that is crazy.
That's insane.
Like, it's ridiculous. But it's like, when you think about it, it's training. It's media training. You have to be trained to watch and enjoy those things. Or
so you think it's like media literacy?
I do. I think that's the thing that stops most people from being able to read comics as well, is because, you know, we're trained in media from birth. Right, we're fed media now, and especially now, but even from when we were kids, we watched TV growing up. You see a lot of things, and you read a lot of things. But if you didn't get an appetite for that type of content early on, it might be difficult in your adult life to suddenly start liking comics or be able to even watch a black and white movie. That's crazy to me, but it's true.
It's one of the benefits of our generation, just with media, is we really did see the start of multiple generations of media content providers. So at least when I was a kid, there was a lot of black and white movies on TV.
TV shows.
There was a lot of, you know, we saw the first wave of Japanese content in the Bay Area, you know, coming into onto the American airwaves. So we had a wide variety from different generations at our, you know, that was influencing us.
And there was not, and there was go ahead.
It was done that way because there was no other content.
That's it. That's what I was going to say. We didn't have this unrelenting stream of new content. So like they had to go play, like Leave It to Beaver made big numbers playing black and white on weekdays, right? It was like, that was a lot of people watch those. And now with so many choices and the media explosion that we're in, I've talked about this on other shows. Like if you go to a classroom and you go like, what things are you into? You're going to find a lot of kids are still into comics. They're into their manga, or they're into whatever, but there's less likely to be one thing that everybody is watching.
That's what's strange right now.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, and they always do those nostalgic movies like Ready Player One or whatever. And I'm just wondering what's going to be the Ready Player One, even though that was kind of a failure, you know, in 20 years. What's going to be the Roger Rabbit in 20 years? Are they going to be putting AI versions of different TikTok stars together in a movie?
I've thought about this a lot, dude. I think we are seeing it happen. It's already begun. The Easternification of pop culture. So like manga is huge. Manga dominates the comics industry now. Yeah. It's the biggest. Like it's if you read comics, you're more likely to read Japanese comics.
So like with the color process that I was approaching, Death Power, I was trying to think of the color blocks as you know, manga gray tones, like manga.
Let's take a look at it, Kurt. Let's look. I promise that I'm not going to reveal everything, but I want to just show what you're talking about a little bit. I'll at least show the color, just show like the vibrancy of this.
Yeah.
And I'll just flip. I'll just do a couple of open page. This is all stuff that was on your Kickstarter too.
Yeah, that's all on the Kickstarter.
So if you could just talk about this manga style, because I really do believe in 20 years what we're going to see is it's going to be more nostalgia, but it's going to be nostalgia for these things that younger kids are into, which is a lot of it is Japanese.
But you know, also Scholastic, you know, like Amulet. I forgot the name of the artist that does that. Kazu something. Yeah, but Amulet, you know,
but even that stuff is undeniably manga influenced, right?
Yeah. His model is basically anime or manga model.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
You
The
know,
only thing they're missing, and it's never, I haven't seen it tried here, is the big phone books
yeah.
to serialize.
And that's what I was saying about earlier about how they come out with like 20 Batman books. Just put them in that's where I think they could get away with making a digest, just releasing the digest. As a reader, that's what I would like. I realize as a company, they'd lose a ton of money doing that.
And the line, yeah, they miss out on all the money they recoup all the creative costs during the serialization phase, and then like everything else after that is gravy, right? Because the comics, the only reason comic stores still exist is the non-returnable nature of comics in the direct market.
Yeah,
you're stuck with what you buy. So it forced a discipline and a learning and a like curation of the stuff that went into everybody's store. And I just don't know if how long that can continue. I think if anybody could try it, DC or Marvel could try to put out like, just a digest thicker volume, but it just takes so long to draw all that stuff. It's a whole different model of publishing, I think.
Yeah, they could really do it with reprints. That'd be the easiest way to. But I think they did try that with the Walmart.
They've tried it, but comics are so dated. If you try to read old comics, they are so different.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Comics, right? Yeah, like just Batman. Read Batman read it in the golden age. Read it in the 50s, 60s. Like they are way different.
Yeah.
In the style they write each comic in, the dialogue, the type of dialogue, like everything is different.
Yeah. I wonder, it's definitely a challenge. But honestly, like Marvel and DC, I think has already kind of lost the next generation of comic readers.
It's wild.
It's people the next generation of comic readers are going to be people who grew up getting introduced to comics through Scholastic and other Abrams.
I have no doubt, and we'll be better for it. We'll have better,
and we will be better. It'll be better comics because of that, and also through manga. And the one thing that manga has in general is it has more variety of stories. And overall, I know a lot of shonen manga go on way too long, but it's not, they do have an end. They will end a series and have a conclusion. And that is something no American company will ever do, because at the end of the day, Marvel and DC is more about the trademark than the storytelling, in my opinion.
Yeah, true. I mean, when you think about how much more money they make, I'm just going to say off of Underoos alone.
Yeah.
Compared to how much they make on comics. It's wild. Every store out there has a major Marvel and DC section of clothing, you know, and backpacks and everything. So I feel like there is going to be a nostalgia wave, like comics, those characters anyway, those properties got a new lease on life because the movies are so popular.
Yeah.
The kids that grew up watching these movies will remember them in 20 years. And there could be another wave of that stuff.
I'm sure there will be, for sure. But it's, it's hard to say, because I think like by not taking a break after that, at least with the Marvel properties, I don't think the DC movies did anything. But with the Marvel stuff, it was an undeniable success, and it did conclude with Endgame.
Yeah, no, they did. Yeah,
and all they had to do was take a 3-year break, or maybe a 5-year break, but they couldn't do that, and that's their failure. Instead, they said, like in every companies, we just need to keep expanding, keep growing. If we don't, we're dying. And by doing that, they killed the market. They, it was already a TV series. The Marvel films were already a TV series. And I don't say that disparagingly.
Right,
I
right.
just say that as a format.
Yes.
It's a serial. It's a movie serial. And then they add TVs on top of the movies that are what? I'm going to spend 10 hours watching like half-assed special effects because it's a TV show.
So often with a dubious payoff. Like you
With a dubious payoff that usually just feels like something that was stretched out that could have been a tight 2-hour movie. And you're doing that so you can get me to sign up indefinitely to your dumb streaming channel and watch your dumb movies? Fuck off. Like, that's insane.
Well, I like some of the approach of what they're doing in the sense that it's kind of like the old comics in that like some of the stuff is serious, some of it's not, but it's all kind of loosely tied together. I like that idea.
It could have been done better. I just think it's asking too much of the audience to spend 20, 30, 40 hours so you can get the payoff in the Marvels movie.
True, but although actually also what's never been available before is like a streaming platform. So if you want to catch up on those things, there's one spot. You just go, boop, oh, I know what I got to watch. Let me watch these things, and they're all available all the time now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a difference.
I mean, you know,
and I also feel, Kurt, if they put out a kick-ass Fantastic Four movie,
oh, it's going to change everything.
That ties in with a kick-ass X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Somehow, and then it leads to a Secret War. Like you and I are going to be there.
Yeah. No. If they do something, well, obviously, it's going to be there. But I think like they just kind of spread thin.
Yeah. I still think there's enough. I've said this before, but I think there's enough unsqueezed juice still in the Marvel lemon for them to get maybe another 5 to 10 years of like,
I think so,
blockbusters.
I'm definitely, they could do something very interesting with Galactus. I think that is,
he's a tough one to tell. That's a tough story to tell outside of comics. I think,
that's the challenge, but I think it could be done. I think that could be something that could be very interesting. It could also fall flat on its face.
Well, they always punt on Galactus and Dr. Doom. They're like, they're the greatest thing of all time. Like, these are the villains that make the Marvel universe, but let's just completely ignore them. Like, let's make Dr. Doom something he's not, and let's make Galactus a giant like cloud of particles. And like, how did anybody think that's a great? Granted, a big purple giant guy stomping around your city maybe sounds weird, but it would be cool.
Perfect.
It'd be so cool.
It would be great. And obviously, I think, just pull from the Mobius
true.
Designs of Galactus.
And all that cosmic X-Men stuff that we've never seen. Shi'ar Galaxy,
that'd be awesome.
Starjammers.
Yeah. You know what? Keep the suits. Keep all the tight
Cockrum's designs back there, right? Like,
they all need to be in leotards. The Starjammers need to be in leotards. Keep it. Come on. That's what the kids want to see.
Well, it's so funny because like Wolverine's a perfect example. They're like, no, let's stay away from the cool look of the comics. Like, that'll never work. But then the closer they get to the comics look, the cooler it looks in the movies. Like, if you pull it off, you can do it. I love that we've gone into a whole MCU discussion.
Yeah.
Kurt, I'm not going to be happy until I want to see you draw a book for Marvel or DC. That's probably not even in your dreams or in your goals.
Not really. What's interesting is with Fey Archaic, like, I finished it. I did get kind of depressed afterwards, which I think is kind of a common thing when you ever finish something. But I was like thinking like, I'm just going to do this adventure strip format. That's all I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to be known for. That's what I'm going to do. And then I was like, and then I do Galacto Pit Fighter, which is just my monster comic, and it's just action and gore.
So great.
Thanks. And then I was like, oh, fuck this. I'm sick of like supernatural or super augmented characters. I'm just gonna do this like serial killer comic and do like
Awesome too.
A true crime comic. I'm gonna get into the real world, talk about the effects of real violence and the consequences of that. And then next I do Death of Power, which is just garbage. It's just fucking super powered gore.
But you brought it together in such a, to me, it's the perfect synthesis of all the work you did before. Because some of that coloring stuff that you're doing here, you did in your serial killer comic. Right?
Yeah, that's the first time I used that approach.
Right. And then the Galacto Pit Fighter was a step removed from Fey Archaic. It kept the detail, but then went a little less detail in the background. And then you just took it all the way here.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I really believe that what you're saying about manga and your adaptation of zipatone to color, replacing those things in the manga formula is brilliant, Kirt.
Oh, thanks, man. I think it's been a big step forward for me just because I can get stuff done a lot faster.
And there's that.
And I think it reads better.
It does.
You know, I think it's more clear and
no doubt about it.
Has more of a impact. So,
your line work is in focus, right?
Yeah.
In the front. And the background is there, but it's just a wash. That's sort of I totally see it. Like I could see this in black and white with different tones, like you're saying, and it could have a lot of impact. But this is more especially because you're dealing with superheroes that are so used to being in color anyway.
Yeah.
And I can't more color thing and made it surreal. I just love it.
The only book that would feel natural in black and white is for a superhero book is something like Batman. Even Daredevil, you have to have red in that comic, I think.
Punisher could work, maybe.
Punisher could work. Yeah, Punisher could work.
Grittier.
Yeah, Batman.
I just love, your design work. This Lex Luthor armor. One, by the way, which is one of my favorite Lex Luthor designs of all time, has to be this green armor. Like, it's just wild. It's so different, but so perfect. And then you took it and made it. What did you do to it? You made it chubby. Like you made it. Like what was your goal here with this?
I was always a big early anime fan, like into Robotech, Star Blazers. You know, and looking at Gundam. So
there you go.
I was wanting that like box suit, you know, like the third series of Robotech, which was based on Mospeada, had, you know, the Envid and their bodysuits, and they're just bulky, and they were all like kind of designed like crabs. So I wanted to get that kind of feel in it.
Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And again, like still also trying to keep it simplified. So I was looking at a lot of those, you know, that early 80s redesign of a lot of the Marvel characters, or was it like, it might've been late 70s, like, you know, of when they redesigned Bizarro and the Lex Luthor power suit.
Do you mind if I show a little bit more? I won't show any of the later stuff. I just want to show these first few pages here so people can get a little bit more of a
sure
style. Because man, the line work is old fashioned and high quality, dude. Like the pictures, like just the drawings, but then the coloring elevates it so much. It's so much a part of it.
Yeah.
It's unlike most modern comics where the coloring is done by somebody different, right? And so there's different interpretations. This is a true vision.
I mean, there are I think like Skybound does a really good job of having a team create a good comic that feels integrated. You know, like Ultra Mega looked great And I've been really enjoying Void Rival.
That's the Transformers thing, right?
Yeah. Transformers G.I. Joe by Kirkman. That's just, I think, really good, really excellently done. And they still use vector sound effects or onomatopoeias in their books. But I think overall it looks good. But in general, I think like the vector sound effects and the fact that you see, oh, that's like the same font that's used in this comic, that's used in this comic.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It always feels like a sticker put over the art. A lot it can when it's, you know, and that bugs me. And I think it's, you know, it should be integrated into the line art. And I think that's a mistake that the industry makes, and it's just done because of efficiency and time.
You know, if there's one publisher I would think that would really be into your style, major publisher, it would be Dark Horse.
Yeah, you said that before. That I should maybe send them some stuff.
You absolutely should, dude. They'll publish Matt Lisnowski. They'll publish.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's
Matt
really
Kent.
good.
They'll publish these guys that have a style that is absolutely not Marvel DC commercial, but is high quality. And then they have weird enough properties. James Stokoe, like the stuff. I guess
he's the best. James Stokoe is such an inspiration for me.
Stokoe, dude, you and Stokoe are peers in my mind. Like what you're capable of, and he's
so much better with perspective, and
he's amazing. Don't get me wrong; it's a different thing, though. But that's the thing.
I'm trying to. Yeah. This next issue that I'm working on now, I'm going to be really pushing the perspective. Hopefully, I'll finally get comfortable with it. But it's you know, that's one thing that's always been a challenge. I think for a lot of artists, you know, like getting that perspective, that foreshortening with the anatomy. Oof.
Yes.
Sucks.
Well, most guys I look at their style. If they're at a polish level that you're at, like they have the skills to draw as well as you do, I can always go, oh, you're a Neil Adams clone. Oh, you read a lot of Bart Sears. Oh, you are copying Alan Davis, which is what most people are doing. They're copying Alan Davis or Neil Adams or so. And I look at your stuff and I see influence from those things, but your style is yours. And it's instantaneously recognizable, and it's at a really high level of craft and skill. So to me, you're right at the top with any of those guys. I just want to see another publisher. I honestly couldn't see the people at Dark Horse looking at your stuff and just say, nah, this guy stinks. No way you're not going to talk to.
I probably could get a drawing someone else's book.
Yes.
But, you know, I'm so slow that I don't know. And also, honestly, like, you know, I'm not saying I'm a great writer, but for comics, I just want to draw what I write.
I think you should.
No. And I don't mean that to sound arrogant.
No, dude.
You know, it's just, I think there's certain motivations that people have. Like there are those people that like their passion is to draw a Marvel or DC book. Like that's their deep goal, and that is not mine.
I get that.
I think it's important to recognize that.
The only reason I would want it to see that happen for you is just it would give you more name recognition, and it would free you up to have a larger audience, which frees you up to do the stuff.
Yeah. And if it could be something that I did as my primary source of income, wouldn't that be nice? That would be, I would be able to get a lot more done, you know.
I mean, like if you're drawing for your day job, right? Like what is your day job right now, if you don't mind me?
Right now I'm doing AV, which is new. Yeah. So I'm doing audio video stuff. Like setting up like different audio equipment and stuff. So
well, I don't want to say your talent is wasted there, but like I would love to see draw. If you were drawing just full time, I can only imagine
it'd be great. It'd be great.
Out. I'm pulling for you Kurt. I honestly, there's very little stuff that comes my way through this. I like it all. I like a lot of it, but yours is just at the very top of the stuff that people.
Thanks, man. I've been having real fun doing this series. A lot more fun than I expected. And one of the cool things is that there is guides for me to pull from, direct guides of like, okay, how do I handle this type of scene? How do I handle, like with this picture that behind you, how do I handle drawing the Earth from space there and simplify that? There's a bunch of John Byrne, there's a bunch of Dave Cockrum that I can just pull from and be like, oh, okay, like how's a good way to do the color palette for this scene? I can easily go and say like, look at a bunch of great art that can give me a guide to how to approach it. And, it is fun to just draw big, dumb, superpowered characters punching each other. It is fun.
Well, and you give it an extra level of fun that we can't even show. So I can't. There's a lot of stuff that we could show. I've showed it before. You asked me not to show everything. There's some great surprises in there.
Yeah, I just want there to be a surprise.
Yes, so I don't want to give anything away. I just want to say your takes on the other DC superheroes are so great. If you like, the closest thing to what you're doing here, to me, would be maybe The Boys, but really more like martial law.
Yeah, martial law is a huge influence on me, and also Brat Pack.
And yes.
Honestly, I've only read the first couple issues of The Boys. I love the series. I do need to go through and read the entire thing. But one thing from the series that I read, and I do love Garth Ennis. He's one of my favorite writers, obviously.
For sure.
It was a little too. The book's a lot crueler.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any sympathy for any of the characters. like the joke is that these characters are being abused and they're naive.
Yeah.
And I think like it's interesting that the interpretation of those stories for television made it actually timely because of all that Harvey Weinstein stuff.
True.
It's something that was supposed that started off as an edgelord joke, I assume. I don't want to besmirch the good name of Garth Ennis, but became something kind of poignant. I think that's kind of cool.
And it works because of the zeitgeist of superhero movies as well that take themselves so seriously and so piously. It came out.
Superman,
how many times do we need Superman in a Christ pose? We get it, guys. We get it. Okay.
I talked about this with the last interview is with Superman. The modern interpretation of Superman is as a superhero Jesus Smith.
Yes.
Or a Noah Jesus Smith.
Yes, for sure.
And what's lost that I think is also in those earlier comics, even more so with those the original Jerry Siegel comic. Is he was a working class hero.
Oh, for sure.
Fighting corruption. He wasn't fighting corruption. He was a investigative reporter for a reason. His villains evolved into Lex Luthor for a reason. And that's what separates him from a Batman archetype that has been ignored, and what makes Superman kind of a cool character.
I agree with it. That's why I thought John Byrne's change of Lex Luthor to a businessman actually works really well because it harkens back to those.
I love. I guess supposedly John Byrne doesn't like his run on Superman, but I loved it.
I think he didn't enjoy his time doing it because of what they were doing behind the scenes, but I even got Paul Levitz to admit that nobody has ever done a Superman reboot or origin story that stuck the way
It's really good. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's
Not perfect.
very, very, very good. And his interpretation of Bizarro, I like. That's great for a modernization of Bizarro. Perfect.
It was a great idea. It was a perfect idea. Like
Yeah.
it really was. He did a great job.
He did a great job, and just the artistry of it's beautiful. He has one of the best versions of Batman.
His Batman.
And just the slickness of it.
The writing too, yeah. His writing on Batman, just the way he makes Batman so cool.
Yeah.
Mysterious. Yeah, there's just something about him.
The other thing I kind of realized with Superman, especially since it came out in the 30s, it's just I wonder how much of John Carter of Mars influenced them to create the character, because it really is the inverse of John Carter. John Carter goes to Mars and he has all these superpowers because gravity. Of the less gravity. He's super strong. He can jump. Superman's coming from another planet, Earth, and is able to initially just jump and be super strong and stuff. So I just wonder how much of Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter of Mars influenced Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster.
Good question. Have you read Philip Wiley's Gladiator?
No, I've never even heard of it.
Oh, dude, get it.
Gladiator. Is it a book?
It's a novel.
Oh, Jesus.
It's short. It's a novel. It was written.
Short.
It's the inspiration for Superman.
Oh, really?
It's the stated inspiration. Siegel said, he's like, I read this book. He didn't say it all came from here, but if you read it, there is no doubt it is the Superman prototype. And it's
cool.
Better, except he doesn't come from another planet.
Where does he come from?
That's a big difference. His father is a scientist. And it actually, a lot of Spider-Man stuff comes out of this too, because he goes like, insects are much stronger. Sorry?
What was the name again?
Philip Wiley's Gladiator. And it was adapted into comics by Howard Chaykin and Russ Heath.
No shit.
But they took it and they set it in the 70s. Okay. So this was written in the 30s. And dude, Hugo Danner is the character. By the way, he's a character in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Alan Moore brought him in. And he is such a great Superman. He's brought up on this farm in this really religious environment. And dude, they go over, it is so good. And it's like an adult version of Superman, because it's like his whole thing is like people hate him. Anytime they see his powers or like he shows he's better, he can do anything, like people really don't like him. And so he gets really kind of bitter and twisted about it. He goes and fights in World War I, and he declares himself, what does he call himself? The Messiah of War. And he is in the trenches. Literally, there's a scene where he's in the trenches. This is a Kirt Burdick scene. This is like Kirt was meant to draw this. He just like, he gets so mad. He's in there and he's killing people just by pinching. He's just like waiting and he's pinching. And he's like pinching people's heads and
blowing them up.
Yeah, he punches a shark in the brain in this book.
Yeah, I'm sold.
I'm telling you, Kirt, this is a fantastic book. And the ending, I'm not going to give away the ending.
Don't give away the ending.
In my mind, the ending, you could change the ending, and at the end of this, he becomes Superman. This is my personal reading of the thing. I don't want to tell you anything else, but I do want you to read it, Kirt, because I
am going to read this. So Philip Wiley Gladiator.
Willie.
So Jerry Siegel came out and said that this is.
He said he read it. It was undoubtedly an influence on. You can't read it without seeing Super. Of course, not take out Krypton, substitute a atheist scientist father who secretly injects his wife with a super serum.
So do you know if like Captain America must have been influenced by this too?
Dude, a lot,
because it came out at the same time. You know, right?
This came out before Captain America.
No, but I mean,
Superman,
Superman came out in 39, right? Or 38.
Yeah.
You know, and Captain America was 40. So
I have no doubt that it influenced Spider-Man. If you read it, there's direct text about the proportional strength of insects.
Did you ever see that James Stokoe? He just posted it online. They never did anything with it. The Spider Nom.
No.
Oh man, it was awesome. He did like 10 pages just as his own bootleg, and that he posted online. I don't know if you can find it.
Like Spider-Man in Vietnam?
Yeah. But with James Stokoe art and writing, it was beautiful. Okay. Beautiful.
Well, Kirt,
and fucking Marvel comes out with like 10 years later with their Venom. Fuck you. Like I mean, I'm sure it's a good book. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know anything. I just saw it on the thing. I was like, why do this and not that? This is gold. Spider Nom would have been gold. They would still, if they printed that and gave Stokoe carte blanche to do what he wanted, it would still be selling. They'd still be making money off that goddamn thing. Instead, they come out with Venom. Like, sorry, I'm ranting.
No worries.
And I'm sure Venom is a good book, but
I'm sure it's not.
Spider Nom is a better book.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to say. Read Gladiator. I know you're going to like. To me, when I'm reading it, it's like it's so visceral in its
gotta read this.
And that it's never been captured. The adaptation by Howard Chaykin, they said it in the 70s and he goes to Vietnam, but it is not.
Howard Chaykin's perfect for that.
Yeah, Howard Chaykin is good for it, but man, normally he takes something, he adds that truthful brutality to his writing, you know?
Yeah.
In this one, it's almost like he had to tone Wiley down because it's some of the most interesting passages in that book are not quoted. And it's like, I've never heard someone talk about the Messiah of war. Like he's so overcome with his own power and strength. He's like, this is what I was made to kill. It's so different than Superman, but so tied in. It's amazing. And you know what else is amazing? You are, Kirt. The fact that you thought of me and sent me this book before anybody else, I'm really touched. I really mean it when I say, like, I came across your work. You didn't send me your work originally. I walked into Leaf's store, Mission Comics and Art, and it called to me like a lightning bolt from the racks.
Yeah, that was wild.
It put, like, the day it came out, I happened to be in San Francisco, and I'm like, what? And sure, I said, I know people will love it. And sure enough, as soon as I started showing it on the internet, and then the cartoonist kayfabe guys showed it off.
Yeah, what a blessing.
People responded automatically. And this is why I say, dude, you got the potential to go as far as any of those Trad Moores or any of those dudes, if you wanted to. And if you want to just go your own route, I'm going to support you 100% too.
Well, it's just frustrating that, I mean, it's not frustrating. I mean, there's so many more avenues that I can get my stuff out. I can't. Yeah, I'm a natural complainer.
Yeah.
And I'm biologically designed to complain. But
humans are.
For the sake of the internet, I will accept the conveniences of our modern society and say, like, I am able to get my stuff out instead of saying that it would be nice if there was a little bit. It would be nice if James Stokoe could have done Spider Nom, and Marvel would have backed it. And been like, you know what, this is a good idea.
Well, when you do certain things to their crown jewels of their intellectual property, like you have done here in depth, like no way is DC Comics going to publish this. But I guarantee you,
as long as they don't sue me, that's
I guarantee if you got it into the right editor's hands from DC, they would be like, oh, we should work with this guy on something.
Maybe. Yeah. I did a I did another interview, and they mentioned idea like doing a Conan style book, and that might be kind of cool, something like a Conan. But I've been actually batting around that concept, and I think like I might be able to do a Fey Archaic type thing.
Have you read
You know,
Wolfskin by Warren Ellis?
no.
Well, that's what you got to go get. My
I need
friend.
to read more Warren Ellis. I've read there all those great '90s Vertigo titles.
Oh, he wrote a lot of great.
I've read I dipped in and out like during that time period. I pick up an arc here, pick up an arc here. So I've never read the full library of Sandman comics. I never read the entirety of Transmetropolitan, and I really or Invisibles. The Invisibles is the one Grant Morrison book I haven't read.
How about Planetary?
I never dipped into.
That's the one. That's the one because it's got the art, it's got the story, it's got. It's so good.
Did Garth Ennis also write Planetary? Oh no, it was Warren Ellis, and then it was Mark Miller, right?
No, Warren Ellis with. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Later on, it was Mark Miller.
Sorry, buddy. Yeah, it was great. But Wolfskin was Ellis's with Juan Jose Rip. They did it over at Avatar Comics.
Yeah,
and it's his Conan, but the Conan character is like a berserker that takes magic mushrooms.
Okay.
And goes like their clan goes crazy, but it's just it's actually the structure of it is written like a hard-boiled detective novel, but set in this Conan style world, and it is fantastic.
Okay, I'm gonna pick that up.
Ultraviolet, beautiful.
Yeah, those Avatar books are. I never got into Crossed. I should. Yeah. And
if you just want to feel bad, like if you just want to feel like you read something creepy, Crossed is the one for sure.
Yeah.
Man, I love that we can connect on all the creeps of comics, Kurt.
One day I hope to be a creep of comics.
Dude, this is stuff that I would. Okay, I've always said this. Like growing up, I loved comics. I worked in a comic book store, but almost none of my friends read comics. Like,
go ahead.
And if I tried to share something like Brat Pack, I would just get the looks of like, what, why, what, huh? Why would you read something like this?
Yeah.
But
I think like there was,
but the beauty is undeniable of those things, even though they're visceral and ugly and in your face, just like Death of Power.
Brat Pack is one of the best comics I think ever made.
Agreed.
I would have to say, and I'm not saying that ironic. Like I am 100% serious about that. It's up there. It's in the top 5 for sure.
Oh, Rick Veitch's whole oeuvre
and Max Immortal is
all that stuff.
Brilliant.
You're reading the new Max Immortal?
I've read the first 2 volumes. I have the third in my stack back there.
Amazing stuff. We've had Veitch. We've had him on the show before, and
he's an inspiration. I've seen some of your interviews and Cartoonist Kayfabe interviews, and there's certain interviews with certain creators that just gives me a lot of hope. And like Rich Veitch's work, and his work ethic just gives me a lot of hope.
Agreed. And his self-publishing groove that he's settled into, Amazon print on demand, perfect for his work because it's all black and white anyway.
Yeah.
And it's good value, it's super convenient.
But someone like him, it's perfect. The one thing like using that model is like someone like me, I just get lost. No one would ever see it.
Yeah.
Because I tried something on there a long time ago with like a storybook. I did a demented storybook that it's best not to say, but no one ever saw it. So
well, I hope more people see Death of Power. Kurt, I gotta get out of here. I want to thank you so much for coming in and get me off my ass to do 2 shows this week. Like that's rare. It's really rare, and it would only be for something that I love as much as Death of Power, because I really do, dude. It hits me in
man.
all the spots like that are for me.
I've been enjoying it. It's been a real blast, as opposed to Fey Archaic, which was just like a brutal marathon.
That was like a death march for you to get there.
I was like in the Philippines in 1943 or something.
Well, just like what's his face? The blankets guy. Craig Thompson.
Yeah.
He switched to serializing his latest project for Ginseng Roots, and it like gave him a whole new energy and a cadence of putting things out that really seemed to help his creativity.
I think like we got drunk on the graphic novel format, and the industry did. And all the pamphlets, all the issues started being written as like for the trades.
Yeah, chapter 3 and 6
being satisfying comics. I think there is something valuable about the periodical format of getting something out there. You know, it's
and the interaction with your audience, the fact that you get response from them before you work on the next chapter, that has to make a difference in the process.
Yeah.
It can't not make a difference in the process.
I'm gonna have to show it to some more of my critical friends, because I've been getting way too much positive feedback.
A lot of fluffing.
a little too much fluffing. I'm gonna have to show some.
I'm telling you, dude, I would speak. I'm pretty unvarnished in my criticism. Like, I'm not afraid to call.
That's true. That's true.
If there was anything, the only critical thing I would have to say about this work is that it's your average superhero fan is not only going to not love it, they're not going to like it. But like, that's not who you're writing this for. So I can't. How can that be a criticism?
There's been some people that,
they hate you, dude. They hate you. If like you do a critical view of Superman, or wait till they see your Batman. Your Batman is batshit crazy, and we love it.
He's a crime fighter, and
and a billionaire.
He has to have a close relationship with law enforcement.
Yes.
So,
and it's cozy. It's cozy. It fits well. The relationship fits well. So I'm not going to give away any secrets. Go back. Death of Power #3. I'll tell you the truth. If you hadn't sent it to me, I probably would have bought it. So
awesome.
Thank you, sir. Because there's not many. Like I said, I mean, most of the stuff I get is stuff that like I read and I enjoy it or whatever, but almost none of it is stuff that like I just see and have to own and buy off of a shelf. That's a rare and difficult thing to pull off, Kurt, and you got that. Whatever that thing is, you got it in spades, pal.
Man, I just hope to, get faster and get more efficient.
And you come with, and it comes packaged with a little.
I just do that for the conventions. I'm wondering if I should add that as a add-on feature to the Kickstarter.
For sure.
Because for each one, when I send it out, like I want to put some type of blockage to like,
I want a t-shirt that says just this.
I think if I made it, I used a font for that, so I would actually have to actually design something, actually letter it out, which I do love. I fucking love, which was a surprise to me, like doing those sound effects. It's my favorite part right now.
Well, that's Kurt. This is the thing. Your design sense is out in the stratosphere.
Oh, wow. Thanks, man.
But the thing is, though, most people who can design cannot draw comics.
Wow.
It's a totally different thing. And the storytelling of comics, which you're just not like you've got that. Because you read comics and you love comics and you draw so well, but then couple that with a design, and that's where you get the best cartoonists, in my opinion, my favorite cartoonists.
Yeah, I don't know if I could design outside of comics. I'm not 100% sure I could design like a title for a book that wasn't a comic book or something.
I don't even want you to try, dude. I
Not
work on
lazy. I don't have enough time to. It's just like, I don't know. There's certain designers that can design anything.
Oh, yeah. Well, dude, like a Chris
Chris
Ware or a
Yeah,
Seth.
Yeah, they're a different level. Like that's like something like,
I think you're selling yourself short though with the right material, especially if it were at all comic or sci-fi related or whatever. You could pull something amazing.
I'm gonna read this Gladiator.
Dude, if you were to like it as much as I think you're going to, I would love. Oh man, I would love to see the Kirt.
I thought I was really onto something with like, and maybe there was some influence, but with John Carter, because Superman is.
I don't know when that came out though. When was the novel written for John Carter? That's what I don't know.
Most of my insights have no backing in research, so I don't even know when it came out. I just know John Carter of Mars was called John Carter when it was
written in 1911. So yeah, okay. I'm gonna say no doubt. I'm gonna say no doubt there is a relationship, and it might have even been mentioned in the article that I read. They go like, some people say it was from Gladiator, but others say, John Carter and other.
Remember where that article was?
I'll try to find it for you.
Okay. Yeah,
go read the book. Though. It might have even been in the introduction of the novel, which, by the way, is public domain.
I just looked it up at the library. They got a copy. I'm gonna go get it.
I bought a paperback off Amazon, and it was just it blew me away. I've always meant to read it because I heard things about it.
I'll check out. Yeah, I'll see if it's at one of the local bookstores or something.
And then the trick is you make a public domain thing, but you can't call it Gladiator because then anybody could steal it. Plus, that's a generic name.
Yeah, there's already a big movie too.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. So, Messiah of War.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That is a beautiful title.
And if you watch, like, say, the Superman movie, the pinching. But if you watch the Superman movie by what's Zack Snyder?
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I agree. But there's scenes like where he's like a merchant marine. Like Clark Kent leaves home and becomes like a merchant marine. That's straight out of Gladiator. And he's like saving people on the ship and stuff. But like in the book though, he's punching sharks in the brain. It is so amazing. I can't.
Zach, why didn't you put the punching in the shark's brain? Come on.
And he tells the people on the ship it's an old-fashioned sailor's technique. You just got to get the right level. So good.
It's like, that's like such a Popeye move.
It's fully Popeye. It's just such a Popeye move. And the book is full of that though. Like when he's in war.
That's what Zack Snyder needs to do. He needs to do his dark reimagining of Popeye for modern audiences.
See that? I got to get out of here, but I will. You brought up Popeye, and I'm going to tell the audience and you my big theory about that society's gone to hell since we lost Popeye. Like you can't. Popeye's not a kids. It's not kids entertainment anymore. Because you can't show a guy who like solves every problem with his fists and likes to smoke.
And also take amphetamines that are like called spinach.
Spinach, absolutely. I think Pluto is one of the all-time great movie characters.
Oh man, the Fleischer's Popeye cartoons. I need to get that.
And the Supermans.
The Supermans. I just got the set. They re-released it.
My favorite thing about those is Superman does not hover.
No.
In those movies.
No. He's flying out of physical force.
He jumps.
Or he's jumping.
Yeah, he's jumping, but he's never floating. Which is something I think Superman should never do.
Superman, I think there's one of those episodes where he does fly, and that's the first time he flew, and then they incorporated that in the comic. At least that's what they say in the
Yeah.
You know, so the creation of the Superman myth is real interesting. From because
from the radio show, I heard that
a lot of it came from the radio.
And the Daily Planet came from the radio show.
I need to track down. I must be able to find those radio shows on YouTube or something.
Probably. It's all out there, I'm sure.
I need to listen to those. That'd be kind of cool.
Kirk, I feel like you walked away from here with a reading list from me. I don't want to give you homework. Like, but I know you're going to love Gladiator. I just know it. If anybody could respond to it.
I got to get Wolfskin too.
And and Wolfskin. And both of those are the most underrated, ultra violent, like visceral comics that I can really think of. I mean, Gladiator's not a comic, but like proto comic. Anyway, I got to get out of here, Kurt. I know you got to get out. You got to keep going too. So I really appreciate your time. I'm going to get us out of here. I'm going to play the closing credits, and then I'll play maybe a little video clip or something like that. Oh, wait, holy cow. I've been in Star Trek mode this whole time. Well, there we go. This is where, so if you want to see your comics on here, like we just saw Kurt, there's one place to go. The $1 Million Mailbox. Please send those comics to $1 Million Mailbox, P.O. Box 1163 Arcata, California 95518. I will bring them in on the $1 Million Comics cam, spread them out, take a look, tell you what I think. It worked for Kurt. It could work for you. So thanks for watching. Kurt, anything else? Tell the people one more time where to go for your Kickstarter.
To Kickstarter, it's Death Power 3. I'm pretty sure you just type that in the search.
Look at that sweet Lex Luthor design.
And then
Design Genius. Kurt.
Right now, that's the only way to get it. My Etsy's kind of, I'm kind of taking a break from Etsy. So I'm looking for another online store space. But
you heard him, folks. Get on there. Get on the crowdfund tips. Send some money this guy's way. Sign up for those stretch goals.
Yeah.
Get the Death of Power cock ring that I heard is one of the higher levels.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't tried it out personally, but it's not made for someone like me. It's made for different type of it's made for different type of people. Bigger people.
Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for checking this out. Thank you for supporting Kurt, and Kurt, thank you for supporting us. We'll see.
Yeah, it's super fun. Thanks for having me, man.
Okay, send me number 4.
I will. Hopefully, I'll get it done soon.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
All right.